I think we we inherited a really weak economy, and we know our public services are crumbling. And I think the Chancellor has addressed this head on yesterday. For me, it's a budget that really starts to reverse the decline and put some renewal into the country. But most importantly, it does help the pockets of the residents in Southend, Western Lee, and across Essex who most need it.
How does it help them? How does it help them?
Well, let's start with the two-child benefit cap. So that policy pushes children into poverty. And by removing the two-child benefit cap, that's going to lift 450,000 children out of poverty across this country. And just in my constituency alone, that's 1,820 kids. Now, I'm sorry, but that is an absolutely fantastic policy, because every child should be able to have the best start in life. And it's shown that if somebody's in poverty, that can affect their life chances later on as well. So that's really important. And then look at the freeze on fuel duty. We're going to be cutting energy bills by £150 on average. If your energy bills are higher than the average, then your energy bills are going to be cut by more. And then support for businesses with a permanently lower business rate for retail, hospitality and leisure. And again, in my constituency alone, that's going to help 3,270 businesses with reduced business rates, much needed for pubs and restaurants and the leisure industry.
With the fuel duty, it's staying frozen for the moment, but then there's going to be a staged increase, though, isn't there, from September next year?
Yeah, but obviously this fuel duty has been discounted for quite a while now, and the Chancellor could have made the choice to end that discount when it was due to end, but she hasn't. She's extended it for the time being till September next year. So that's going to help.
They're going to pay more, though, aren't they, from September next year?
Well, I think let's not start predicting the next budget. We'll have to wait and see what happens next year when the Chancellor comes before the House again with the next budget. But then, things like train fares, they're frozen for the first time in 30 years. 30 years, train fares have gone up every single year. For my constituents, that's a saving of £260 that they would have had to pay additional on their season ticket from Leigh-on-Sea into London, and prescription charges frozen under a tenner. So there's plenty of stuff in here that's going to help people to with the cost of living, and to get onto an even foot again. And also there's plenty of stuff in here to help the economy as well. The markets have reacted positively to this budget. The Chancellor has now got us into a position where there's sufficient headroom that wasn't there before. And by the way, just to be very clear, the OBR's analysis doesn't include things like the EU, the US and the Indian trade deal. So we are confident as a government that the economy is going to grow much faster than the predictions from the OBR. We've demonstrated that already. The current prediction was 1% this year. The economy's been upgraded to 1.5% growth. So we're beating growth forecasts already this year, and the Chancellor's adamant that she's going to keep doing that moving forward. And all that does is help residents and constituents and people across this country. If there's more money in the economy, there's more money to spend on public services.
We can't get away from the tax issue, though, can we? So there wasn't a rise in income tax, which would have been a breach of that manifesto. But the reality is, millions of people are going to be paying more tax, aren't they?
Well, the tax thresholds have been frozen, and you are right, the manifesto commitments have been kept, and there's no rise in VAT, national insurance or income tax. But why are we in this position? Let's just remember why we're in this position. The OBR have done their forecast based on historic data. And unfortunately, that historic data looks at the decline we saw under the Tories, and they've been very clear in their forecast. This is not due to the actions of this government, it's due to the actions of the previous government. Now, look, the Chancellor could could take no action, or she could reduce taxes. And what we're going to end up with, we're going to end up with another Liz Truss quasi-Kwarteng budget, and we are still paying for that. The reason we've had this downgrade is because the economy is still suffering, or just about recovering, thank goodness, due to the actions of this government, from the disaster of the Liz Truss budget.
But millions of people are going to be paying more tax, though, aren't they? And they're working, and they might feel like they're getting less in their pockets as a result of all that hard work.
Well, I think the tax thresholds are frozen. If we are getting inflation under control, and that's a positive thing. Wages are rising faster than prices are rising, which is again a good thing. And yes, the tax thresholds are frozen at the moment, but there are so many other measures that will lead to people starting to have more money in their pockets. And you only have to again look at the projections, and those who are on the lowest incomes, the rise in living wage and national minimum wage, but even those on middle incomes will see more over this budget period in their pockets, and that is in the forecast.
David, thank you ever so much for joining us this morning. That is the Labour MP for Southend West and Lee, David Burton-Sampson on BBC Essex.